Welcome everyone for UFC 302. Our main event is for the lightweight championship of the world. Islam Makhachev defends his title against Dustin the Diamond Poirier. Dustin Poirier, he's 3-2 in his last 5 fights. He's coming up against the champion 5-0 Islam Makhachev. I'm going to go over this whole fight for you. We together are going to break this down and come to a prediction. I'm going to help you get to your prediction. I'm going to give you my prediction. We're going to cover all that, cover the skills, the intangibles, everything leading up to this fight. So stick around. Let's check this out. For Dustin Poirier, like I said, he's 3-2 in his last 5 fights. He's kind of alternating wins and losses over the last 5, coming off the win over Benoit Saint-Denis, in which he had to battle through adversity, come back kind of in that fight, and then get the win. Before that, he lost a matchup where it was kind of the opposite, where he looked pretty good against Justin Gaethje until all of a sudden he gets kicked in the head, knocked out. He's done. Like I said, wins and losses, wins and losses. He's doing just boom, 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 boom. In his last 5, it's literally win, loss, and then win, obviously. But for Poirier, he's got all the skills. He's been there. He's done that, but he's just never made it to the championship. He's fought for the title, but he's never become the champion. This is probably his last opportunity because for Dustin Poirier, he's 35 years old. We all know about 35, the 35-year-old curse. I think it's silly. Superstitions are silly, but the track record shows that 35-year-olds just don't seem to win title fights under the 170-pound division. So Dustin Poirier being 35, where does that leave him? Can he be the first to break the curse? Can he be the guy with his back up against the wall, probably his final shot to get a championship in this matchup? Can he be the guy to do it? Well, he's got the skills to do it. Let's talk about it, right? Solid striking. This guy can strike very well, but he needs to get in the pocket in this matchup. He has extremely good aggressive striking in the pocket where he can work his boxing combinations, uses elbow guard to block. He does use that block and return kind of style, so he'll block a shot and then kind of rip a couple shots back at you, put together combinations, and he does it really well. His combinations come from various different angles. He's going to come at you with the uppercuts. He's going to come at you with the hooks, and he's going to hit you with those straight shots. And he can do all of this from either stance, whether it be the orthodox or the southpaw stance, which he seems to prefer southpaw in a lot of matchups. This one, most likely he will as well. He's got good volume, and he can just keep this coming down from this in the pocket style. If he can stay there, I think Islam could actually be in a lot of trouble because he's got a ton of power, does Dustin. He's got 16 knockout wins, which I believe is the record for lightweight knockouts. So for Dustin Poirier, the guy can crack. And if he just did it to Benoit Saint-Denis, if he can crack Islam while they're exchanging in the pocket, I do think he can drop him. I do know that to be true. Dustin Poirier has the power to do that. Now, he also can rip to the body. The guy works the body extremely well. And if he can turn this fight into a brawl, being able to mix those shots low, high, coming out to all the different angles and combinations in the pocket, Dustin Poirier has a path to victory, and that's what it is. He does, however, get backed up if he's met with heavier pressure than he can provide himself. Now, for Dustin Poirier, when he comes forward, he does a good job. When he's backing up, he does a good job, but it's different, and I think he does a better job when he's able to force the action by breaking into the pocket under his own terms. He did do well enough against Benoit Saint-Denis when he was backed up to the cage and firing from there, but that's a different style. That's a different matchup, and Benoit is the type of guy that's going to let his hands come down and just swing bombs at you. Islam is not that style, and that's a different style here. So what he needs to do is not get backed up and instead be aggressive in the pocket, use that block and return style, get inside, and start landing his power shots. That is what Dustin Poirier needs to do on the feet. But if he ends up on the ground, it's not like everything's lost for Poirier. Poirier has solid grappling abilities. And he has opportunistic takedowns. I don't know that he's going to be able to take down Islam, nor will he try. He might jump a guillotine, or guillotine, I guess it is. I don't think he's going to want to do that. He's going to want to do that. I don't think he should do that. Let's put it that way. If he jumps a guillotine, tell you what, guys, I put out in the community post, somebody said that Dustin Poirier is going to win by guillotine in the first 10 seconds. If that happens, name it in the comments. What do you want me to do? I'll give you something out of it. Like, what? Give me some crazy, you want me to break down a KSW card? You want me to shotgun a 6-pack of root beers? What do you want me to do? We're gonna do it, whatever it is. If we get a 10-second Dustin Poirier guillotine win, you name it, guys, we're there. But back to the breakdowns, okay? For Dustin Poirier, we don't really want him jumping the guillotine. If you're looking at it stylistically, he needs to try to keep this in the striking range, and I think he wants to stay in the pocket. But if he goes on the ground, like I said, he's not lost. He does have very good ability to sweep, and he's got pretty solid ground and pound, and he's going to use that to advance his position. So if he gets on top, whether it be from a takedown or sweeping, he's going to start landing his shots and try to get his ground and pound off. Now, one problem I guess not really a problem, but he could lose that top position because he's very much finish over position. Whether he's going for the submission, in which he has a very good submission arsenal, the guillotine's not exactly the best one, but he will chain submission attempts together, but a lot of times he loses position in doing that. Another way you could go for the finish is with the ground and pound. If you're just landing heavy and he's on top, say he's in, half guard, mount, something like that, landing big heavy shots, and his opponent's starting to shrimp out, create some space, and try to get away, instead of just, taking the time to stop, regain position, hold them there, and then work from there, a lot of times he just tees off and hopes that in that moment where they're trying to create space and they're not blocking anymore, he can club you and knock you out, which is definitely possible, hence the 16 knockouts in the career. Yes, a lot of those come on the feet, but if he can land just as powerful on the ground because you got your head bouncing off the canvas. So for Dustin Poirier, there's a lot of positives and a couple of drawbacks, but there's a lot of positives for him. So he's not lost in this fight, and even though the odds may suggest that, he does have a path to victory. I do think it is on the feet. This is what Dustin Poirier needs to do. Get in the pocket, land the power shots. Now, let's look at the Islam side. Now, Islam, he is the undisputed champion, right? Very, very obviously undisputed. 5-0 in the last 5. He's only lost once in his entire career. He got caught, knocked out. It happens sometimes, even to the best of them. But he hasn't shown any signs of durability issues since then. It's not like his chin's gone, obviously. I mean, dude's gone on to win a whole bunch of fights. But he's shown that he has all of the skills, but even the best can be caught. And if anybody can catch you, it's the guy with the record for the most knockouts in the division. So how is Islam going to avoid that? Well, it starts on the feet, so we're going to start with his striking. For Islam's striking, he's very good at establishing threat at multiple levels. What do I mean by that? He threatens with the kicks, whether that be to the body, to the head, to the leg. He threatens with his combinations that he likes to use as a counter strike. So he's a very good counter striker as opponents try to come into the pocket. If he's landing his kicks at range, that's one thing. But once they come in, he'll hit you a lot of times with that 2-3 combo. Sometimes he'll add a little bit more to it, but that 2-3 is money for Islam. That's what he lands as you're coming in. Sometimes he switches to the 3-2, also a good combo for him. But he's going to use that when the opponents are trying to come into his range. And he controls that range extremely well, but he's establishing threat with not only the combos, with the kicks at distance, but also with the threat of the takedown. We're going to cover grappling in a minute, but the threat of the takedown is still in the striking realm because he's feigning the takedowns, making you think that they're coming. So it makes you a little bit more tentative to come in because if you're worried about getting taken down by this guy, which you darn well should be, he's one of the best grapplers in the entire world, at least as far as the MMA grappling is concerned. And with that said, you have to be cautious of the takedown. So he's establishing these threats, looking to counter as you try to enter the pocket, and he's kicking you at range extremely well. Even worse for his opponents, he has extremely good striking defense. He absorbs like less than one significant strike per minute or something like that. It's ridiculous. And the reason why is because he forces opponents to just be inactive, whether that be with his range control, where he's landing those big kicks at range and just staying out of distance, or with the feints, the multiple feints, whether he's faking a kick, whether he's faking a takedown, faking with the hands. Whatever he's doing, he's setting up the opponent so that they're just kind of inactive, and that's what he's able to do in a lot of instances to make his opponents just not do anything and then react to what he wants to do. Islam is extremely good at that, and his combinations are extremely accurate. If I am to give a drawback for Islam, the one drawback would be that in his combinations, he has a Taekwondo background. I know a lot of people don't know that. He does have a bit of a Taekwondo background. I don't know to what level he got to, but that's where you see the kicks come from, right? But one thing you don't get with a Taekwondo background is the ability to put the punches and kicks together fluidly. And a lot of times he'll throw his kick, and then it's a punching combination. But there's that little brief pause between that, and he's not putting his kicks, knees, elbows in the middle of a combination super well. I'm not saying he can't do it. He just doesn't do it often. It's not like he's going to come at you with like the 2-3 that he likes, and then he's going to follow it up with a knee, and then after the knee, throw an elbow or something like that. Or he's not going to throw the kick, or the 1-2 kick, 3-2 knee. My point is, he's not putting all of it in the striking realm together. He often kind of breaks it up in the Taekwondo style, which is okay because his grappling is so high level that he's able to land these strikes very well. And they're skilled. They're clean. It's not like I'm saying this is a bad thing. I'm just saying if I am to give a drawback for Islam, that is it. Now, on to the grappling, which is obviously his best weapon. I'm going to step over here so you guys can see it a little bit. Also, If you guys are having trouble viewing what's on the board, I am going over them all verbally, but you can zoom in a little bit, squeeze the screen or whatever. If you're on a laptop, I don't know, adjust your whatever zoom. But you can zoom in a little bit. I wanted to make sure I had plenty of room to write all this and not towards the bottom where it ends up getting covered by my body. So here we are. Anyway, zoom in if you like. For the grappling, Islam has near perfect takedown entries. He can enter either off of, freezing you off a fake and then enter. He can enter underneath his own strikes, enter under your strikes. He can step off to the side and enter. He can just kind of bridge the gap by getting in close and getting a hand and then pulling into a clinch and going from there, pushing you up against the cage. He has near perfect takedown entries, and he can do it from almost anywhere. And once he gets you to the mat, his top control is excellent. You're not getting back to your feet. Once Islam takes his opponent down, they're just there. They're not getting back up unless he finishes them or the round ends. That is what's going to happen. He's got very good ability to stay safe on top, and he does this just kind of by allowing almost no space. My old coach used to tell me space is opportunity. And I'm sure plenty of other coaches say that. It's not like it's a fancy thing or whatever, but space is opportunity, whether it be for you or your opponent. If your opponent gives you space, you've got the opportunity to pass. If you give your opponent space, they have the opportunity to escape and get a better position. He does not allow any space for his opponents, and he waits for them to give up space for him to pass. A lot of times he will force that by faking an attempt at a submission or a little submission feint. He'll go for maybe an arm, go for like a kimura or something. And once you quickly say, oh, shoot, I need to get two hands on one to fight off this kimura, what's he going to do? Well, then he's going to use that as an opportunity to pass, get to mount, something like that. Or he'll get to, whatever, get to half guard, get to side control, whatever he wants to do, he's passing because he's faking for a submission. He's feinting for a submission and getting you to react, and that gets him to move forward. Now, he's also going to set up his submission attempts with his ground and pound. Now, he's going to set up his submission attempts by landing his ground and pound, and then he goes for the submission. Now, if he goes for the submission and you react properly to it, what's he going to do? Well, then he's going to use that to pass. If you don't react properly to that, he's got the submission. Now, if he's already in the position he wants to be in, yeah, he's just going for the submission, whether he gets it or not. You get my point. But what I'm saying is the guy is excellent on top. Now, off his back, he's not lost either. He's very active from his back, and we haven't seen it in a while, but he does have a slick armbar from the back. It's something that he doesn't really have to use much because he doesn't end up on his back, but in the event that he does in this matchup, unlikely event that he does have a slick armbar off his back. And also, from the top, he's got very tight squeeze on his chokes, whether that be the head and arm choke, the rear naked choke, whatever it may be. The guy has the ability just to squeeze your little head off, because a lot of people in his matchups with him, in their interviews, have said that Islam is exceptionally strong, especially in the grappling exchanges, how powerful it is. The only person that really didn't say that was Volkanovski, and I think that's just because Volkanovski is just a bowling ball. So either way, Islam is exceptionally strong and able just to put a tight squeeze on. So even if he doesn't have the choke locked in just perfect, he can squeeze and work his way in there. He's also very good at scrambles. You don't think of the scrambling ability from Islam like you do with a lot of fighters, but he does have good scrambling ability. He doesn't need to use it very often, but he can use it when he needs to. He's very hard to take down. So realistically, if the fight hits to that, it's probably from the Islam side. So we break this down. We've gotten this far. I'd love for you guys to drop your prediction in the comments. Let me know who you think. I know I already put out the community post. Reaffirm that. Tell me in the comments. Maybe this has changed your mind. If this has changed your mind, say, hey, 130 MMA, I actually on your community post commented and said so-and-so, but now after watching your breakdown, I'm saying so-and-so, whatever. Both guys do have paths to victory. Like I said, Dustin Poirier, if he gets into the pocket, he can land that power. He does have knockout power. Islam Makhachev, stay safe, stay poised, work your game plan, and you're going to get the fight. There's a reason that Islam is the biggest, one of the biggest favorites, probably the biggest favorite on this card, minus 500 or more. There's a reason for that. It's because he should win this fight. Islam is the most skilled fighter on the planet, if you ask me. And I don't think it's that close. I think Islam is, by and large, way ahead of everyone else as far as skill. And he has all of the abilities to win this matchup and go on to continue to beat everybody in the division. He's only like 32. So he's going to be able to continue to win these fights for a long time. But each fighter poses a different risk, and Poirier does pose a lot of significant risks, especially to a guy who has been knocked out in the past. Dustin Poirier has a lot of knockout ability. Ultimately, though, I side with Islam. I think Islam's going to be able to get it. I think Islam has the skills, the abilities, the discipline, the poised under pressure. I think he's going to be able to get this one done. I think Islam is going to retain his title and still be the lightweight champion of the world. Let me know, guys, what did you think? Also, please like this video on your way out. All of my links are in the description of this video. I would appreciate if you took some time to check those out. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.